Well, it looks like we got everybody here now, so guess we can get rolling.
All righty, we have still the student series here, 3000 series. Our objective and process, of course, as we know, is working through these. I think you guys are doing a fabulous job. We're posting as we go. We're going to just jump into, of course, the ones you know that have an asterisk next to them are the ones that indicate some kind of a significant update. And if not, it is seriously just we've already updated the policy based on, I go to WASDA first and see what their policy says, and then I look at ours. And if ours was updated when they have the most current update, then it's strictly just downloading a form from them, adding our little descriptors down here, and off we go. This one is updated a lot.
Okay, thanks, Tracy. I got a couple of questions.
All righty.
On 3115. It says annually review OSPI homeless video.
Ooh.
And I went to OSPI, and there's several. So my question was, well, annually, when, and which video?
I know McKinney-Vento lives with in Jennifer's office. I'm thinking she can answer that for us.
I always thought when you put me on the spot. Director Jeffries, we tend to, I don't remember in this COVID fog that I'm in, if we did it in the beginning of the year this year, but we usually do a McKinney-Vento overview with the staffs and or the secretaries at the beginning of each year. And then there's McKinney-Vento reports that we give to OSPI at the end of the year. So usually we just pull something depending on which one we want to use. But I don't think we did it all staff this year. I believe it was just the secretaries only.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, of course, I've talked about this before. When we say annually, it'd be nice to say annually at the beginning of the year or the beginning of the school year. And I just wondered, you know, there seemed to be a link. Well, I went to OSPI to look at their homeless information page, and there was a lot of training videos and things, and I'm not sure which one, or could it be several of them? But anyway, that's something to look at or think about.
Thank you.
All right, and 3116 is also, excuse me, a format only. See when they updated it. And this one was fairly lengthy. We'll go ahead and take a look at the markup. And one of the exports that has superintendent in their title will be able to walk you through this one.
That would be, is that Jane, did you want to speak to it or do you want me to speak to it?
You can go ahead and speak to it.
Okay, so this one, I'm just reviewing it really quick. So one of the things that changed this year was a lot of information around attendance and unexcused absences and discipline. So some of this I'm just reviewing is part of that. And then they also are updating the juvenile defenders. You'll see later on that they're taking two policies and they're collapsing them together. And so it just talks about the notifications for those. And then you can see that it changes also because of the dissemination of the information. So if you go back up, Trace, I didn't see all of it, but that's where they are stemming from. because it, oh yeah, the adjudication piece. So that goes with 54 something that we'll read. Is that one in this?
3143 is the other one that's
Is
affected.
attached to this one.
Right.
Yeah. And they're talking about academic records and what comes from one district to the next. So what those permanent records are. So they're saying the discipline, the violent behavior based on the RCW and what we all need as they go from one district to another. My hunch would be is that sometimes when we transferred, not all the correct documents are getting there. Is my hunch.
Yeah, these two.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a big push too around juvenile offenders that they, with the prison, the quote, and I'm just saying that the prison to pipeline, just if there are juvenile offenders, what do we do to not damage their adulthood to the point where they can't be productive citizens as well? So that's where they talk about a lot of that.
All right. Another format only on this one. Seems like we've addressed this one a lot as well since truancy came into place.
Is this one of those policies that we've kind of suspended because of COVID remote learning, or are we still following this one as written?
So this one was one of the ones that they recommended we update because, as you see here, in 9 of 20 is the last time we WASDA updated it and we adopted it. So that would have been September of this year.
Okay.
Yes, I guess is the answer.
Okay, yeah. Well, I don't know. I just don't know how remote attendance, if some student misses 3 days and we don't really have a reason, do we follow up as written here or not?
We do, Director Jeffries. What has changed this year is there is no truancy court. Truancy court has been suspended at the beginning of the school year. OSPI had said that they did want truancy court to continue. Relatively quickly, they realized if they did that, the truancy courts would be overwhelmed with students. And so they have backed off of that. So this attendance rules still apply, but a student will not go into truancy. And we try and ensure that if a kid hasn't really been in contact with us for 20 days, we do not automatically drop them. We've had SROs go visit. We've had home visits prior when it was better during COVID. And so all the buildings have been instructed to really not drop a kid after 20 days if they haven't been able to get a hold of them, because we want to make sure that they're not endangered. And it was interesting. I had a case that I physically went out to today because of the absences and our SRO. So still attendance requirements still are in place right now. So that means kids are responsible to go to school 6 periods a day, every day.
And you mentioned the SRO. When you go on those visits, does the SRO go with you?
No, he didn't today, but it was just an interesting timing that he had been there, and because we had called to do a wellness check on the children, and so the SRO went out there, and I had to actually go and retrieve some desktop and hotspots from the facility. So.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, and it'll be good to have him on board.
Jennifer,
I don't want to say, well, I'll be glad when truancy court starts up again, but I visited truancy court when I was on the community truancy board, and I found it very, very interesting, and I thought they were bending over backwards to try to help kids.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer, I missed it earlier. Who's the truancy officer or the SRO this year?
His Kyle, Dr. Prine, do you remember? It's Kyle.
Kyle. Oh my It starts with an R. Rosen.
Okay,
He started back today.
that's awesome.
So hopefully he'll be out there tomorrow helping direct traffic. That was one of the calls I made yesterday, is to see if he could help us at Haller, because it's been a real backup, because most kids are being driven, which is fine. There's just not that much room in the parking lot.
Yeah, very cool.
Dr. Prine, I have a picture of him and a little bio that Sergeant Hill sent me. I'll send it to you and you can share it with the board.
Okay, thank you.
This is one of our famous December 2011 updates. We had not looked at this, I believe, since we've adopted it, correct. And so again, we remember the 1211 is not substantive changes according to WASDA. I did a quick glance to both policies and I would agree it was some of those little words. I think this is similar. It's interesting when WASDA hasn't had an update since 2011 as well. Some of those policies are very interesting that there has not been that many changes. They have stood the test of time. Format only on this. It makes me think that this was part of Assistant Superintendent Mon's update. Let's check at the bottom here. Nope, this is 1211 one. Okay. All right, Assistant Superintendent Mon, I'm going to need your help on this one, because what I found is that we've never had a policy 3131. We've had a policy 3130, but they sound and seem to be named the same exact thing. So I was not able to go back and find that it wasn't 3130 that eventually got merged to 3131. Either way, this is the most current.
And I looked for that too, Tracy, and I am in agreement with you. I honestly think it was a typo way back when.
I feel really good about that, because I searched and searched, and I have records from 2006 of policies that were adopted, and I couldn't find anything with 3131.
Yeah, I agree.
Good. So these were the markups.
I have a couple of questions. This is Larry.
Okay.
Parents are informed annually, I assume that maybe at the beginning of the year, about transfer policies. When do we notify parents about that?
Parents will be informed of attendance area transfers. As we spoke earlier, Director Jeffries, I know as far as out of district choice transfers, if a Port Angeles student wants to attend a swim school, we come to the board in March or April, right around the time people are wanting to enroll their kids for next year. And we ask for your approval on, hey, we're too full, we've got to close this down, or yep, looks like we can open it up this year. So I know we do that in March or April.
And does that apply also to internal transfers? Basically, that would be somebody who wants to change from Gray Wolf to Helen Haller, or vice versa. Is that true too?
And we have not allowed intra, that's what you're talking about, from Haller to Gray Wolf back and forth. And I believe some of the philosophy around that is unless you've moved, there's a potential amount of teacher shopping that happens and the kids just go back and forth and back and forth. Does that sound correct to you, Jennifer?
Correct. And a couple of years ago, when we were full, when we were at capacity, this was more of a concern and an issue. And we wanted to make sure that families didn't go back and forth. Yeah, like she said, the teacher shop. Now it's a little bit more open, isn't it, Tracy? Because we have a lot more capacity at both schools, correct?
We still have not allowed intra transfers. Nope, because we wanted to get a good handle and didn't want them to flip. They were starting to equal out as far as, and we had no idea how to project how much would be coming in from out of district choice that we opened it. So we held off on doing the intras this year.
Okay.
Tracy, can you pull that markup back up again for me?
You bet.
I just had a question on something that was added to the bottom.
Okay.
Lines that were added. Where I just found it interesting. The second paragraph there, when they're can you tell me about that they do not need to obtain and I guess there's supposed to be kind of some air quotes there, official writing. Is that just, does anyone know a little bit more about what they're talking about there?
Tracy, I can if you need me to.
Yes, please.
Director Pickens, that is when if a student transfers to another country and the only way that you can get a hold of them is on the phone, you don't have to have written oh, it is email. You're right. Official. Oh, it doesn't have to be official from the school. So if a parent writes from Mexico saying that they're going to school in Mexico, I believe that would suffice. It doesn't have to be a request from the receiving school in writing.
Okay.
And I think that's just because of either, distance, language, different norms in different countries. It would be hard. It might be harder to transfer that kind of formal information back and forth from this actual school itself.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have one more question. On that one, it says OSPI's annual information booklet. Is that the CR's link or is that something else?
Where is that, Director Jeffries?
Well, in 3131, I'll have to find it again. They talk about the OSP. Well, I'll have to look. It may have changed since. Yeah, that's the only place it shows up. So maybe that wording disappeared in the markup. That may have been the old one, maybe.
I'm not seeing it with a quick scan.
Well, that may be. That was one because it was 3130 and 3131, and that was a little bit confusing. But you explained that one. Okay.
Another format only, which means we have looked at this. Okay.
That's another one where the word annually shows up.
This one does?
Well, in the old one it did.
Okay.
I've got two sets of notes because I've looked at these a couple times and taken notes along the way, but I'll have to admit I did go through all the policies. I did go through all the policies and do a search for the word annually.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I don't see it now.
It looked like it was the very last paragraph, Director Jeffries. Right.
directors inform parents. So I assume that's kind of like, you said March, April, is that kind of the same time frame?
Correct. You know, I'm also wondering if that isn't something that's included in our August insert to parents that we do, our back to school flyer. I'll put a little note to check with Megan on that. All right, non-resident students, here we go. This is a format only as well. There's another annually.
Yeah, I was going to tell you that it's in there.
Okay. All right, we looked at this back in May of 19. This is pretty much our choice policy. All righty, I am not sure about this, but Jennifer, you probably know, didn't all our international exchange students either go home or not allowed back in when COVID hit? I kind of remember that being an issue.
That would be correct. So
this was one of the policies that was suspended, right?
Correct, and we currently have 0.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but we have 0.
Okay. All right, this was a little bit of a hefty one. This is the one Assistant Superintendent Mon was talking about, this notice of dissemination that affected the 3120 policy as well. I think this is a good basis of just kind of the overview of why and how they did that. And as well as with the policy and legal news.
Tracy, that highlight, it is 3241.
Okay. I don't think I had a markup on this one. Yeah, it was just this. And we do have this policy, so I'll put that. I didn't make a note on what it was, but I know we adopted it. Oh, it's 3225, just like we have. That was a new one for us. 241. Still 20. And of course, you see here that this one we just are retiring. 3144, that was on our agenda to take a look at. We are officially retiring. Which scooches us down to 3200, format only.
There's a couple of annuals in there that had questions about.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Jennifer, I think this is in our handbooks, correct?
Yeah, all that information is in there, and they review that at the beginning of the year. Once again, discipline changed a lot in the last year to more of a inclusive, non-suspension type of policy and procedure. If you are bored, our 3241 procedure has been updated, and it's about 16 pages. And it's pretty detailed on what we're doing for discipline. And so all schools do that at the beginning of the year. And then they also review their data and add it to their SIP plans as well.
Okay.
So
And how
Director,
about the other one? Go ahead.
I was going to say,
They-
so
they-
you, I'm sorry, go right ahead.
You may be ahead of me. It says annually confer annually, I guess we decide, or just to establish criteria for determining when certified employees shall complete classes to improve classroom management skills. Do we do that? Do we decide that annually?
Yeah, that's part of the teacher's evaluation system. They specifically have a section on classroom management. So if a principal were to see a teacher is having classroom management concerns or issues, it would trigger through their evaluation, but we would hope that they would intervene before that and provide, guidance and information on classroom management prior to that. But that is where we annually review all that information.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you guys had a chance to read this. This is the first time I've seen this, that we consider revisions interim while we continue to study and monitor the legal landscape. This was an interesting article. We do have the markup available. I see an annual.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So 3205 is annual. I'm making notes, Director Jeffries,
Okay.
on all the annual stuff. Okay, 3207. Oops, sorry. Go
I
ahead.
was going to say, well, I don't know, when Brian came in, maybe Eric, I was warning them ahead of time. I was going to ask a lot of annual questions. And Jane mentioned the fact that we probably should come up with a calendar. So some of these annual requirements, first of all, have a date, maybe like in March. By March or April or something like that, we have some kind of time frame, and then we get it on a calendar so they don't fall through the cracks.
That sounds great. I know Robin Henriksen created a calendar. I don't know if it included these, Larry. It was just topics that the board to review specific program.
I couldn't hear Brian on that one.
I could barely hear him. I think he was reminding us of Robin Henriksen's calendar of all our reports and when they're due. I do, Brian, think that she had a similar policy one. I'll take a look. On to 3207, which we have up to date. This is format only.
I guess this is a good time or bad time, I'm not sure, to bring up. I have concerns. We have policies for harassment of teachers on students and student to student, but I could not find a good policy that we have a policy to prohibit harassment, bullying of adults to adults within the district. Some school districts seem to have such a policy in their 5000 series. I did contact WASDA. They don't have a model, but they said, interesting enough that you brought it up, there have been several school districts besides us that have asked about a similar policy. So they said, Watson said, well, if you come up with one, we'd be interested in seeing it. So it's kind of a reverse model policy kind of thing. And I think we talked about the 5,000 series in May, maybe. And
Yes.
So I don't know how we do that. I'd be interested in helping write or writing or exploring or whatever you want to talk about it, a possible policy that maybe we want to add to our district, given the times. Nothing necessarily specific about our district, but that seems, we do have procedures and we have state laws and things to go by, but I'm not sure we have a definitive policy saying we frown upon this, we do not tolerate this kind of behavior. I know there's an OSPI or a WAC 182, I forget the number, on professional behavior. And as far as I can tell, that's not referenced anywhere in our policies. So
Tracy,
something to look at.
Let me go back to this one.
Yeah, it states it in there. It's just not
That's what
real
I thought.
obvious. And Dr. Pruitt, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk. I saw your hand up. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just, I was just going to say, let's do a little bit more research. I'd like to talk to other districts and see what they have. Yeah, and there is that sentence in there that says adult to adult. So thanks, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
And it's, yeah.
Well, sure. Yeah, I think it's in there, but it's kind of embedded inside it's basically a student. No, I don't know. It may be in there. It could be reworded differently, or do we need a whole separate policy or statement?
You know what, excuse me, I'll just jump in here, Director Jeffries. Let me look at the policies for the staff we're not there yet. Let me look at those policies and let me check with a couple other districts so that we explicitly, it's not just embedded in the one with student, but because that is personnel right there. Yeah, so sexual harassment of district staff prohibited 5011 and 5010. Those are two big ones.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, thanks, Tracy. Is that what you were talking about, Director Jeffries, or do you want another one?
No, I'll look at those and, going through all these, I may have missed that. And then given the times, what's going on in the broader world right now, as well as within our district, I think making sure we have a good, strong statement about that is, and it may be already there.
Well, and the other thing that we have to really be cognizant of, and we need to check with WASDA on this, is the Title IX wording changed in August. And I want to make sure that we're up to date with that as well. So,
Would those be included in those 5,000 policies?
I would think so, but I need to check more closely.
Okay.
Since, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we are at, wow, look, you guys, non-discrimination. Format only for the last 4. All right, how many out of these last 4 are going to have the word annual in them? I'm saying
One
2.
of them.
I'm saying 2.
2.
Annually, here's 1. 3210, I'm writing that down. Okay. And when did we look at this last? We looked at this in 2018. And gender inclusive, I think this one's going to have it in there too. I don't see it. Okay, 1 for 4. And freedom of expression. This was one we had not looked at in a pretty long time, I believe. Oh, maybe we did this in 18. Yeah, I was going to say, I kind of remember us talking about this. It was about the time, gosh, something was happening and students wanted to talk and we had to relook at this. I don't see an annual in there. Okay. And freedom of assembly format only. All right, whoever said 1 for 4, you win.
Okay. I did have another question about that 3210 non-discrimination. I did look at the policy for 3210, and that was written in 2014. Does that need to be updated?
You mean the procedure?
I mean, the procedure, excuse me.
I don't think so, Tracy. Can we double check if it's not one of the ones that I did?
Absolutely.
I can check really quickly. I don't know if it is or not.
I feel like
yeah, it is. It is. It's in November of 19. It has been updated. Director Jeffries, we will get it on the website as soon as we can.
Very good. You guys are doing great. Fantastic.
Okay, 513. I show you have gone through all of these. Great job. They will all be on first reading for the February 16th board meeting.
I think the great job goes to Jennifer and yourself and Dr. Prine. We just kind of sat and listened and asked some questions. So thank you for having the information for us.
Well, and really the heavy lift are Tracy and Jennifer, so thank you.
Well, thank you for having answers. That's great.
You bet. Thank you all. It is definitely a team effort. I appreciate all of you. All right, so we're going to do agenda planning. I'm going to kick everybody else off.
Yay, bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Have to go.
Well,